Well, good morning and welcome to today's webinar where we're going to be showing you a modern Excel-based reporting solution that will help you replace Management Reporter. My name is Mike McPhillamy and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Ingevity, and I am passionate about helping Dynamics GP customers find solutions that make their lives easier. Now, I always love the opportunity to share our mission at Ingevity, which is to improve the life and success of our partners and customers by providing exceptional business application experiences that simplify, inform, and delight. And hopefully, as you see and hear the conversation today, you will see our mission woven throughout that conversation and our story. So again, for those of you who are joining and don't know who Ingevity is, we are committed to Dynamics GP. It's all we do. So unlike other partners out there who carry multiple ERP products, we are 100% dedicated to Dynamics GP. We have 30+ team members who, again, are dedicated to your success on Dynamics GP. We're Dynamics GP partner, ISV, and we're also a customer. So again, we love Dynamics GP. We are also the creators of Power GP Online. If you've been to any events like Summit or DynamicsCon, typically we show up as Power GP Online. Power GP Online is our product. It's our cloud solution that we created, again, specifically for Dynamics GP customers. But again, and I'm going to talk to that here more in a minute, but what I really want to communicate here is we are completely and entirely dedicated to your success on Dynamics GP. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about Power GP Online, because again, there's a lot of misinformation about the future of your future on Dynamics GP, and to be in the cloud, you need to move to this product or host here. Power GP Online is the right path to the cloud for Dynamics GP customers, because at the end of the day, it's still Dynamics GP. So you get to keep all of your data, all of your ISVs, all of your business processes, integrations, functionality that you've built your business on, but we also give you cool new cloudy features that allow you to extend GP further. And most importantly, we provide that world-class security and ransomware protection. But what's really cool is you can get to the cloud within days and not months, because again, it's still Dynamics GP. It's still your Dynamics GP hosted in our cloud. But Power GP Online is unique in that it's more than just GP hosted in the cloud. So you can host GP on Azure, or there are other hosting providers. Power GP Online, and again, this is why we say that we are the right path to the cloud for Dynamics GP. We're really focused on providing that exceptional experience for Dynamics GP users. So Power GP Online is unique in that you get additional features and functionality at no additional cost, like Power GP Banking, which integrates with your banks, download those transactions, simplifies that bank reconciliation process, create an import tool, among others. It's flexible in that we support all ISVs, so great ISVs like ActivReporter, we support them in Power GP Online, but we also have built APIs so you can extend integrations even outside of the GP ISV community. So think of things like Power Platform or Expensify. You can use our APIs to create those integrations, again, using our free Power GP Connect product. And then again, most importantly, it's secure. It is built on Azure Active Directory Identity Framework, so you get things like self-service password reset, multi-factor authentication, or again, really just making sure that who is trying to log into your environment is who they say they are. You have to have their device sitting right next to them. So again, at the end of the day, we're completely entirely dedicated to Dynamics GP, and Power GP Online is the cloud that makes Dynamics GP better. So if you are having those conversations, we'd love to have that conversation with you. But speaking of making Dynamics GP better, I'd love to now actually hand this over and introduce Marvin Cross Snow with ActivReporter. Marvin, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Ingevity, for sponsoring ActivReporter presentation today. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. If you'll stick around at the end of the webinar and fill out the survey, you'll be put into a drawing to win a $25 Amazon gift card. And also during the presentation, if you'll submit any questions you have, we have Sarah Brewster online, and she will try to answer those questions in the chat area. Just a little bit about our company. Our company is AccountingWare. We've been in the software accounting business for over 40 years. The product we're going to present today is ActivReporter. It's just one of our products. It has been in development for over 15 years. And It was introduced initially into the GP community at GPUG 2017, nearly 7 years ago, and G2 was introduced about 3.5 years ago at GPUG 2021. And that's the product we'll be showing you today. And when I talk about ActivReporter, we think about Excel financial reporting. And there are many ways that you can involve Excel in your financial reporting. One way, which many of you are familiar with, is exporting to Excel, because that's what you do in Management Reporter, FRX, and other products. You export to Excel. But when you export to Excel, you lose all of your tie back to your initial GP data. You cannot drill back. And if you edit that spreadsheet, that exported spreadsheet in any way, it does not survive when you re-export the data. So this is one way you can involve Excel in your financial reporting. Another way that some of our competitors involve Excel in their reporting is generating Excel spreadsheets. So if you've ever used a product like Jet Reports or BI360, they generate the Excel spreadsheet. Now they do allow tie back to the Dynamics GP data. But again, anytime you edit that exported spreadsheet, then once you regenerate that spreadsheet, you lose all of your modifications to that spreadsheet. So these exported spreadsheets do not survive a regeneration. Well, I point these out because ActivReporter is different. ActivReporter is just Excel. It is just Excel with some added functions that reach into your Dynamics GP database, pull information out of that database, and put it onto a spreadsheet. And with that, we also allow full tie back to the Dynamics GP data for all your numeric amounts. You can drill down to the detail. We also note that any time you edit those spreadsheets, those edits are permanent because we do not regenerate or re-export to Excel. You're working in the final product at all times. ActivReporter is just Excel. No export, no generation. It's just Excel with functions that reach into your Dynamics GP database and pull that data out and put it onto a spreadsheet. Now, when we talk about ActivReporter, we're going to talk about three basic features. The first feature of ActivReporter that we're going to talk about is financial reporting using Excel. The second feature we're going to talk about is we have great visibility into your Dynamics GP general ledger data, like a smart list, but this is 1,000 times faster than a smart list. It's like a smart list on steroids. And the third feature is going to be the active trial balance, because this is something that you will use every day in your account research. These are the three features we're going to focus on today, but really there's a fourth feature, and that is ActivReporter is very fast compared to any other alternative, compared to Management Reporter or any of the other options. And it's also very affordable. So this is what we're going to present today in the ActivReporter feature set. Now, when we demonstrate Excel financial reporting, first thing we like to do is show you a finished Excel workbook and what its functionality and features look like. And once we show you the finished workbook, then we will step back and show you how easy it is to build these financial workbooks using the add-in functions to Excel. With that, we're going to put away the PowerPoint, and everything else will be a live demonstration of the ActivReporter product. And as I said, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring up our Excel financial workbook that's already been built using the functionality of Excel. And the experience that you will have is you can drill down on any number here in the financial statement. And once you drill down, you see all of the postings behind that particular number, all the postings in this case behind that $6.024 million. And once you find one of these postings you want to further examine, like this cash receipts journal for $609.75, you can click on a single keystroke and drill back and see that $609.75 back here into Dynamics GP. And of course, once you get into Dynamics GP, you can look at any notes that are associated with it or any attachments on those notes, or you can drill further back to the source document here in the cash receipts journal. So that's the experience that you will have when you use the ActivReporter product. You'll be able to build financial designs or spreadsheets like we see in front of you. You'll be able to click on any number and click on the down arrow next to that number and see the underlying detail, in this case to that 569,000, and then take any number here and drill back to your your Dynamics GP system. Now let me talk just a minute about this drill down explorer. This is what we call the drill down explorer, and it allows you to actually research data while you're drilling down. So this $569,000 consists of, down in the bottom left-hand corner, 2,514 entries. Of those 2,514 entries, you can scroll all the way up and down through them. You can sort them by any column in ascending or descending order. You can sort them by the date in ascending or descending order. And you can also filter these entries. So for example, we could filter to the payroll journal. So these are the 1,210 payroll journal entries out of that 2,500. We could also filter them to the sales journal. And we can also filter in many other ways. So you can filter in something like the debit or credit amount between $100 and say I've got to put an ending date on there. So between $100 and say $110. So you can really do a lot of research in this drill down explorer from your spreadsheet. Now, once you see what you can do, let's look at what kind of statements you can present. In this first example, we have a balance sheet with the assets on the left and the liabilities and capital on the right. But you'll notice that the spreadsheet that I'm working on here has many worksheets. This workbook has many worksheets. The first worksheet is the balance sheet. The second worksheet is the departmental charts. The third worksheet is an income statement year for the whole year by month. We also have a trailing 4 years. A lot of times people ask us, can I do this, whatever this is, in ActivReporter? And the answer is very powerful, because our answer is, can you imagine the report that you want to produce, and that the information for that report is coming out of your Dynamics General Ledger database, you can produce it. Why? Because ActivReporter is just Excel, sourcing its data from the Dynamics GP General Ledger data. So if you can imagine the kind of a report you want, you can build it in ActivReporter. Here's an income statement in rows, and this sort of doubles down on that claim, because normally in your presentations, like in Management Reporter, you'll have time across the horizontal axis, and you will have accounts or account aggregations down the vertical axis. But since you can put any number in any order in any cell on any spreadsheet, you can reverse that, and now we have account aggregation across the horizontal axis and time down the vertical axis. We also can produce cash flow statements. Here's a cash flow statement using the indirect method. You can also use the direct method. If you have multiple companies in Dynamics GP, you can produce a consolidated statement. In this example, Fabricam SR and Gabricam LLC and University are 3 separate Dynamics GP databases. The third one here, University, is a single GP database using a segment of the chart of account number to delineate funds 01 and funds 02. But in any case, even though they're in separate databases and even though they have separate fiscal years, you can combine them together with ActivReporter and produce a consolidated statement. The last statement in our workbook here is a boardroom report. It's interesting because now we have a balance sheet here on the left. We have an income statement on the right. We have a graph in the middle. We have our wannabe company headquarters at the top. but for any number on here, you can still drill down to the underlying detail and drill back to Dynamics GP. So now that you see what we can do, let's look for a minute on how we get this done. And before I leave this, I want to talk about how we get it done, because if we click on one of these numbers and look up into the formula bar, we see that this is one of the functions called balance that we've added to the Excel experience. So balance is one of the functions. If we look back on one of these other tabs and look at another financial presentation, this particular number right here is the activity function. So balance and activity are two functions which extract numbers out of your Dynamics GP database and put them on a spreadsheet. And indeed, if you look at the Activity HD ribbon here, this is a special ribbon, and all of those functions that we use to bring numerical quantities out of Dynamics GP are listed here. In this case, these are numeric, the activity, the balance, the beginning balance, year-to-date, debit, and credit pieces of information. We can also bring descriptions out of the Dynamics GP database. We can also bring information about individual accounts out of the Dynamics GP database. We can also bring information about the various points in times or periods, and also the companies. So as we start to build one of these financial designs from scratch, we'll be using these functions in the Activity HD ribbon to build the spreadsheets. Now, just one more comment about our system, and that is that with ActivReporter, we ask you to store, or we recommend that our customers store the .xls files, your Excel .xls files, inside the database. And indeed, in this example that I just showed you, this Showcase 2024, we are storing it inside the database. It's not a requirement, but I think you'll see why. Because one of the reasons why is we offer the capability of versioning. That means that we can have multiple versions of our financial designs, and we can have all of the historical versions of our financial designs. So in this case, we started with version 1 back in October of 21. We are up to version 22 as of February the 25th this year, and all the intervening versions are there also. We can highlight one and just open it and look at it, see what's there, or we can restore it to be the current version. So with the ActivReporter product and storing your .xlsx files inside the database, we have the ability to retain all your historical versions. We also ask you to store your .xlsx files inside the database because you always know where the authoritative copy is. It's not on Pam's desk, it's not on Sue's desk, it's not on Frank's desk, or in a share that they control. It's always in the database. And speaking about control, it's much easier to control the access to a file that's inside the database rather than in the Windows file system. So for those reasons, we ask and recommend to our customers that they store their Excel spreadsheets inside the database. So now that you see what we can do, let's put away this design and let's go and open up a brand new design using our ActivReporter and see how easy it is to build these financial designs. So in ActivReporter, we have, in our case here, we have these companies: Fabricam, Fabricam SR, Gabricam, Habricam, Mabricam, and University. We also have a lot of visibility into your Dynamics GP General Ledger data directly from ActivReporter that's not available from a product like Management Reporter. So if I open one of these companies like Fabricam SR and look at the ActivReporter over here in the navigation pane, you'll see that I can list all the chart of accounts in the Dynamics GP system called Fabricam SR, just exactly like I can over here in Dynamics GP. But also, without moving companies, I can go down here to the University, look in ActivReporter down here and look at the chart of accounts and list the chart of accounts. This is the same chart of accounts here for Fabricam SR as over here in Fabricam SR when I look at these accounts in the navigation list here. So these are the same list. You can just see that in both places. You can also see the speed. Here, for example, on the journal entries down in the bottom left-hand corner, I have 5,079 of them, and I can scroll down through all 5,079 journal entries. But look at the speed here. If I look at the single leg journal entries in the journal detail, I have 116,408. Again, I can scroll all the way through all 116,000 of them. And just like in the drill down from the Excel spreadsheet we showed a few minutes ago, if we want to look at this $306.88, we can also drill back and see that $306.88 by a single keystroke. We can see that back in Dynamics GP. Okay, so that now you have some context of what we're looking at with ActivReporter. Let's go into our financial designs here and let's build a new financial design. And so I'm going to store this inside the database. My new financial design here is going to be Marvin's First Financial. And I'm going to save that and I'm going to open the workbook. And this will be opening the workbook where the .xlsx file is stored inside the database. Now this is just a blank workbook, but I do need to provide one piece of information. I need to provide the date or a point in time, because any number that I put back here on my financial design, it will have to have a point in time reference to know how to calculate that amount. I'm going to choose April of 2017 in my case. So choosing April of 2017, this is just Excel with your home button, your insert button, your layout button, and the Activity HD ribbon also. Now, if you were going to design a financial from scratch, the very first thing you'd want to do is put the name of the company up here in the top of the financial design. Now, for the first 5 or 8 minutes here, I'm going to design this, I'm going to build this spreadsheet one cell at a time. But after that, we're going to explore some wizards that will allow you to build these financial designs much more rapidly using some automation. But for right now, we're going to build it one cell at a time. So just as I talked about, the first thing I would want to do is put the name of the company on the financial designer on the spreadsheet. So I can go to the company function, use the company name function, and it will bring in the name of Fabricam SR, because that's the context from over here in the navigation pane. I'm working currently in Fabricam SR. But since this is just Excel, I have the full functionality, the full repertoire of functions and functionality of Excel all the time. I can go to the home button. I can color this red. I can make it much bigger. I can make it bold. I can do anything I want to because I have the complete functionality of Excel all the time as I design my financial statements. Below the name of the company, I would probably want to put something like the point in time. And remember, the point in time I chose when I first went into the Excel workbook was April of 2017. So if I go to my Activity HD ribbon here, look at periods and say as of period end, it knows that my context is April of 2017, so it puts in that date. If I wanted to change that by going to the options here and say I want to work in May of 2017, I've got AutoCalc turned on, so it immediately updates to May 31st of 2017. Again, remember, we're building the spreadsheet one cell at a time. In a few minutes, we'll use some automation to build these financial designs. Now, in building a financial design, I would probably want to put an account or an account aggregate or some sort of a description over here in B4. In our case, I'm going to go in and use single accounts for my first example. I'm going to put the account description of the account 000-1100-00-1 -A. Now, if we look over here in our work in our Dynamics GP, we'll see the account 000-1100-00 is the Chase Bank description, but it doesn't have an A on it. And that A is something that ActivReporter adds to the account number in ActivReporter. It has no effect. You do not see it or use it in any other way except in ActivReporter. And the -A nomenclature means that this is the accounts that you're actually posting into, in deference to a -B, which is your budgetary accounts, or a -I, or a something else for your reporting ledgers, like the IFRS reporting ledgers. So when I complete this, it will go out into the Dynamics GP system and pull that description Chase and put it in the cell B4. And maybe over here in H4, I would want to put the balance of that account. So I can go up here into my financial designs and I can bring in the balance function from the Activity HD ribbon, which to show you that ActivReporter is built, or the functionality of the built-in features of our Excel functions. I can also go to the function insert wizard in Excel itself, go and locate the activity financial functions and call the balance function from there. It doesn't make any difference either from the ribbon or from Excel. Now, all financial functions which bring back numeric amounts in ActivReporter take the same 5 arguments. The first argument is the period. By default, it will use this period that we specified when we went into the spreadsheet, in this case, May 31st, 2017. Items 1 and items 2 are filters on the accounts that we're going to want to present. And company has to do with the company that we're in here, in this case, Fabricam SR. We can refer up to other companies like Fabricam or Gabricam or University if we want to. And units have to do with unit accounts and foreign currencies. So for our first example, using one cell at a time, I'm going to leave everything at the default, but I'm going to use items 1 as the GL.account, which is equal to 000-1100-00-A. And when I do that, it brings in a number, and we can go into Excel and format that number with commas and dollar signs or whatever we want, 717,000, and we can drill down and check our work as we go. So if I sort this in ascending and descending order by date, we'll notice that the latest posting date is in May of 2017. So that satisfies our criteria of being before May 31st of 2017. And if we sort it in ascending and descending order by account, all the accounts are the 000-1100-00-A account. So this indeed is a one-line financial that we built by hand. And we've also got the ability to drill down and check our work as we go. Now, one of the things that I want to point out here is what happens when I go over into Dynamics GP and go into my financial system and make a posting. Imagine what happens to some of these other products which export and or generate financial designs using Excel. Again, we're just Excel with these added functions. In this case, I can, if I want to, make a post just to show the practicality of making a posting in Dynamics GP. I can go to Dynamics GP here. I'm going to make this posting in a batch called M, and that batch is something I'll add, so it will be an unposted entry at this point. And I will date this posting in 04/11/17, so that it will be in my May 31st balance. And I'll give it a reference of 777, and I'll post into the account 000-1100-00, and I'll post $1 million into that account. So if this works as advertised, I'm going to show you that this number will change from 717,000 to 1,717,000 as I make this posting? Well, I'll offset this posting in Dynamics GP 110500 for $1 million. And now as I save this answer, remember it's unposted. As I save this answer, looking over here in our ActivReporter spreadsheet, nothing happened. But what if I go over here into my spreadsheet and hit the F9 key? As soon as I hit the F9 key, that number will be, and let's see, do I have, let me check here. And I was a little bit afraid of this when I saw something happen before, because my messages aren't getting processed. And I don't have time to diagnose that now, but typically that number would update immediately upon presentation. So you would see that number immediately appear here, 1,717,000, as I make postings. So you don't have to regenerate your spreadsheet, or you don't have to re-export your spreadsheet, or indeed, if this were just like Management Reporter, you would not have to recalculate through Management Reporter to make this posting appear in your spreadsheet. It would just automatically appear without any time involved, just with the F9 key. Okay, so let's put away our sample spreadsheets now, and we'll save this. This will be our first version, and our first version will happen at 32 minutes past the hour. Now let's go look at some ways we can involve wizards to generate these spreadsheets much more rapidly. So we're working at Marvin's First Financial. I'm going to reopen that spreadsheet, going back into the workbook. I'll give it a date, April of 17, and I'll go into sheet number 2 here, and I will create this using the wizards instead of one cell at a time. And the wizards we have are these layout wizards. We can create basic balance sheets, basic income statements, and our trial balance using our wizard. For our first example here, or for our example, we're going to use the balance sheet current versus the prior year. When I do that, it tells me that I want a column for the current and I want a column for the prior year, but it doesn't tell me what's going to go on the rows. Well, if I can control what goes on the rows, because I can go down to this pull down for the items. I could put every account in the chart of accounts, one per row, but that would look more like a trial balance. And you typically want to do some sort of an aggregation in your presentations for your balance sheets. I could use some segments of the chart of account number, but for this first example, I'm going to use GP categories because they're the default aggregation mechanism within Dynamics GP. And I'm going to use the GP categories restricted to the balance sheet. So if I choose this GP balance sheet categories, I get a financial statement that's designed here. Now, this is not quite a finished financial. This is what we call a template financial. It needs a little bit of work done on it before it's a finished financial. In particular, I need to maybe put some color on it. So I can highlight some cells here. I can go into my home button and I can color those cells yellow. You'll also notice that it's got some extra headers because it's a generated financial, not generated in the terms of that I talked about before, but we generated this data. So I need to go through for this template data and maybe put the word assets here. But everything that you need to know, you don't have to read a Management Reporter manual. You don't have to read any other kind of manual. You already know how to convert this template financial into a finished financial because all of the information, all of the skill set that you need to know is your current existing knowledge of how to do things in Excel. So I'll put some spaces in. I'll put some white space here. I'll go in and I'll summarize these three rows into a summary, I will also go up and I will put a top border on this. I will put a $sign on it. I'll copy this particular cell over here to the adjacent cell. Again, all you need to know to take the template financial and create a finished product is Excel. Now, you may have noticed that there are some special areas at the top and the left colored in green. These would typically be non-printable. But the reason for these areas is that when we calculate the spreadsheet, we reference these areas as indirect references. So for this particular cell in G13, we have references to G1, G2, F2, A13, and B13. Now with this, you see that we're dereferencing our variables, so we can extend this financial real easily. Right now, I have the current period, which is April 30th of 2017 in column G. I have in column H, the prior year, 2016. What if I want to put 2015 in column I? I can copy column H, copy this, insert it into column I, and change this one variable, current minus 1 year, to current minus 2 years, and I'm finished. Even the heading changed. So you see, we could extend this 2-year financial to a 10-year financial in just a few minutes. Also, we could extend this to have budgets. So right now, column G has the A. That's what the A stands for here, actual postings. If I want to, I can copy column G, insert it into column H, change this A from an A to B, and now we have a budget column. Now, all budgets aren't necessarily, every account does not necessarily handle a budget. And so that's what's coming up here, saying in a real-time dynamic fashion that there are possible errors because these budget numbers in this column H do not have postings, and that's fully understandable. Not all accounts have budgets. What if I want to put a variance column in here? I can insert a free column, and I can call this column variance. And now I can say that this number in this variance column is equal to this number minus this number, return, and I've created a variance. Every number on here is still drill downable. So if I drill down on this 2017 number, you'll notice that I have postings prior to, in this case, April 30th of 2017. If I drill down on this number right here, I see that these have postings prior to April 30th of 2016 and so forth. And I can also drill down on my budgetary numbers and see where those budget numbers are coming from. So I can build my financial with a wizard, or I can build it one cell at a time. But many of you have Management Reporter financial designs already built, and you'll want to convert your Management Reporter financial designs to ActivReporter. So the next thing we're going to show is how to convert our designs from Management Reporter to ActivReporter. I'll put this one away first. I'll save the changes, and you'll notice that I have versions at 1140. So in order to look at our Management Reporter designs, we'll go into the Management Reporter Designer. And here is the Management Reporter design for a balance sheet. And I think you'll recognize that the most complex part, or the most tedious part of putting together a Management Reporter design, is these row definitions. So I'm going into the row definition for this particular design. Now in ActivReporter, we have a similar concept. In ActivReporter, we have a concept of roll-ups. So roll-ups in ActivReporter are very similar, almost identical to row definitions in Management Reporter. So what we have is we have a program that we can instantiate, and we can move these Management Reporter row definitions out of Management Reporter into ActivReporter by calling on this program new rollup from Management Reporter rows. When I start this, I will be asked for authentication so I can open the Management Reporter database. And now I'm going to show the first few rows, indeed the first 12 rows. And you'll notice that these are the first 12 row definitions over here in Management Reporter. I'm going to choose this very first one for the FAB balance sheet. Here's the FAB balance sheet, number 1. So I'll choose number 1. I'll leave it named the same in ActivReporter as it is in Management Reporter. And you'll notice if you look right here, it's already taken all the information out of Management Reporter and put the roll-up into ActivReporter. I will finish that. I will activate it so that I can use it. And then I will examine it to show you that it has the same information that we have in Management Reporter and the row definition. So I will open this FAB balance sheet. I'll sort it by row number, and I'll open this first row code number 130. And you'll notice that the code here is 130. The same row code is over here in Management Reporter with the same description, cash-operating account, and indeed the same summarization levels because we have the account beginning in 1100, ending in 1130, the single account 1190, the single account 1800, and that's exactly what we have in Management Reporter. So we've successfully extracted the row definition out of Management Reporter and created a roll-up in ActivReporter. So we'll go back into Marvin's first financial design that we've been working on, opening it again, opening the workbook, giving it a date. So I'll give it April of 2017. It will calculate the first 2 sheets that we've been working on, but now I'm going into a third sheet here. Use my layout wizard, balance sheet current versus prior year. But this time, instead of using the categories for the balance sheet like I did earlier, we're going to use this FAB balance sheet row definition out of Management Reporter. And when I do that, I will get a layout design which is identical to the one from Management Reporter. Of course, this is a template. It's not quite complete. So I need to change my headers. I need to split apart some rows because the process of moving a financial row definition from Management Reporter to ActivReporter does not take any literals or any subtotals. So I need to supply the literals, like the literal assets. I'll capitalize that. Except I'll use the capitalization assets there, and it does not take any of the subtotals. So I need to replace or remove the literals, and I need to add my free space, and I need to add my subtotals. And at that point, just using your Excel expertise, you'll be able to convert this template financial into the financial design, which will mimic the financial design in Management Reporter. So now you don't lose all the work that you've got invested in your Management Reporter financial designs. You can move them with the aid of our program that moves the row definitions, and then you can fix the column definitions and the subtotaling and literals. Okay, now that we've seen that we can use a lot of the Management Reporter reports and move them to ActivReporter, let's see how ActivReporter handles something called trees, because a lot of you will need to generate financial designs in mass and distribute them to your constituents, to your departmental managers, your regional managers, your location managers, and so forth. So let's look at how ActivReporter handles the process of trees. So I'm going to save this financial design. And you'll notice now that I have two versions, one with the first two sheets that I put on it and one with the management reporter sheet that I put on it. Okay, so before I look at trees, I want to bring up a diagram which will show you in a graphical form the organization of our sample company, so you'll understand what happens when I start building the trees. So this is a diagram, and I'll make this a little larger. This is a diagram in our sample database. It's a chain of convenience stores. We have a convenience store located on 82nd Street, a convenience store located at 4th and Q, a convenience store located at North University. And these three stores report up to a Lubbock regional manager. And the same thing is true in Midland and in Abilene. And then these regional managers report up to a CFO of the organization. Well, just in this case, you'll notice that there are 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different constituents, 12 different financial designs, or 12 different reports that you need to design, one for each of these constituents. Well, if we had to do this one at a time, that would take a lot of effort. So we need to figure out a way in ActivReporter to create all of these designs and get them disseminated automatically. We also have another level of organization in our convenience stores. We have in each store a groceries department, a snacks department, and a soft drinks department. So in addition to these 12 constituents, we at least have 3 more constituents. So many reports that we need to produce, publish, and distribute to the various managers of the various areas of responsibility. So we use a tree to do that. And the way this is done in ActivReporter is we do this with a file that's built in Excel that defines the reports that we want to build and who the recipients are. So in this case, we'll bring this Excel financial report up, and we have these reports defined. This first report up here at the top is our enterprise report. This is for the CFO of the organization. This particular workbook will have a worksheet for each one of the stores, color-coded. In this case, all the stores in Lubbock are color-coded in blue, those in Midland in green, and those in Abilene in red. So this particular report will have 9 tabs on it. The first 8 tabs are each individual store, and the 9th tab here, called All-in-One, will be all of the stores located side by side in a single presentation. We also need a report for the Lubbock manager. He has 3 stores, so he'll get a workbook with 4 tabs. The first 3 are his individual stores, and then the last tab is his division, looking at it all together. And then each store manager in Lubbock will receive a single worksheet with their single store on it. So this particular tab of this particular workbook defines the reports that we want to generate. And then the next tab on the workbook identifies the recipients. In this case, I'm the only recipient. So it will send me through email a copy of this particular, of the enterprise report and the Lubbock report. So I will get the CFOs and the Lubbock regional manager reports, and it will send it to me in email at this particular address. We can also store it in a file share wherever on our network, or we can store it in a SharePoint location. So this spreadsheet identifies the reports that we want to build and the recipients that we want to receive those reports. Now I just need to go in and use some automation to produce those reports. I'm going to show you the report first. It's going to be this managerial report, and I'll open the workbook just to show you the report and what it will look like. I'll choose April of 2017. It calculates the spreadsheet, and you'll notice it has one tab with the year April, which is the current period, and my year-to-date numbers. This is on the first tab of the spreadsheet, and on the second tab of the spreadsheet, it identifies each of the departments inside the location. So now I can automatically produce this and disseminate it by using what we call a wizard. So that wizard is found. If I go, I'm going to close this design, and I'm going up here that we call them robotic process or bots. And the robotic process that I'm going to use is Financial Tree SharePoint 2 bot. So as I produce this, it asks a series of questions or a series of data inputs here in the dialog session. First of all, which design you want to use. By default, it's going to use this managerial report design that I just presented to you. It's going to use this date. It's going to use that configuration file that I showed you a few minutes ago. And it's going to use this as the default email subject and the default email body. And it's going to send it from a generic address, not my personal address. So I will just say next here, okay. And now it will go out and produce those financial designs and send them to me via email. Now, while this is working, it takes maybe 3 to 4 minutes to work. While this is working, I'm going to start up another copy of ActivReporter and show you the final feature that we wanted to talk about today, the active trial balance. So the active trial balance is an interesting report because it's active. It reacts to postings that are made in Dynamics GP immediately. And it also allows you to drill down and drill back into data just like financial designs in Excel. But the thing that's unique about it is that it does not require any building of an Excel design. It's available 1 minute after installation as a financial design, as a financial that you can go out and work with. So I want to go, in my case here, I want to go back into the fiscal year 2017, and I want to go back into period 4 that we've been working on, and it calculates those numbers. You'll notice that in my list of accounts here, I have both the actual account and the budgetary accounts. Let's restrict this just to the actual accounts so we can get some of the information out of there. And now you'll notice that for each one of the numbers here, they are the beginning balance, debits and credits, net activity, and ending balance for all of the accounts in the chart of accounts, a trial balance. And this trial balance is much more interesting than the trial balance over here in Dynamics GP, which is a static report to the screen. Because as I make postings in my general ledger over here, they are immediately reflected in the postings. I don't have to refresh. I don't even have to hit the F9 key. They're automated. But also for every number here, I can take and drill down and look at the beginning balance. These are all the postings that make up 572 of them that make up this beginning balance of $349,185.29. These are the debits. There are 12 of them. These are the credits. There are 14 of them, and so forth. So now I can really investigate my accounts. I have a tool so that I can look at my trial balance. I can look at the postings that make up the numbers in the trial balance, and I can drill down on them. And then with a single keystroke, I can drill back and see those numbers back in Dynamics GP. This $34,550 is right there. So our customers tell us that in using the product, using the ActivReporter product, they will use this active trial balance every day in their account research. And of course, they can produce any financial that they can imagine in the Excel presentation of ActivReporter. Okay, so now that we've seen the capabilities of ActivReporter, let's look back here and you'll notice that all of those calculations have been done and all of the emails have been sent. So it didn't take but a few minutes to get those emails and get them produced and sent. So that's an automated way of publishing your financial designs using the robotic processes available to you with ActivReporter. So now that we've gone through this presentation, let's look back and let's look at the PowerPoint. I'll finish up in just a few minutes here. So with the PowerPoint, let's talk about pricing for the ActivReporter product, because I said it's very reasonable. If you have 10 or less Dynamics GP databases, we have a single price for you. That there is no limit to the number of users. We don't have design users and viewers. We have just users. So you can have as many designers as you want. We'll give you full installation assistance. We'll give you 4 hours of training and implementation. And there's a one-time fee of $2,500 plus $150 a month. Now, for if you're hosted, like if you're on Longevity, there's an additional fee of $750. So the first year it will cost you $3,250 plus $150 a month. Okay, so that is the presentation of ActivReporter. I hope that you submitted some of your questions. We are actually out of time, so we'll get those questions answered for you. If Sarah hasn't been able to do so during the meeting, be sure and submit your questions and email them to info@accountingware.com. Don't forget to stay after the end of the survey here to have your chance to win a $25 gift card to Amazon. And now, thank you so much, Mike, and thank you, Longevity, for this opportunity to present ActivReporter. Thank you.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate your time, Marvin, and taking your time to show us ActivReporter. It's a great solution. Again, here at Longevity, we've seen it, and we just really want to make sure that we're getting in front of customers to make sure that they had other options besides Managed Reporter that really allowed them to do better reporting and have better insights into the data in Excel. Again, if you'd like an official quote, or if you'd like more information on Power GP Online or any of the services that Longevity provides, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, sales@longevity.com. Otherwise, we really appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day, all.